All right, here we go. This one's going to be a 9mm test. Today we're going to be doing factory versus hand load. So for the factory ammo, that one is 115 grain spear gold dot. That's what that thing looks like. It does have your nickel plated brass and is rated at 1210 feet per second. And for hand load, that one is also the 115 grain spear gold dot. I did load that one in your standard Starline Brass, and it's rated at 1,350 feet per second. And those are both out of 4-inch barrels. The hand load is, loaded a little bit spicy, a little over, max at 6.5 grains of CFE pistol. So we'll see how close we come today. So this is going to be a short barrel test. So we'll be testing our Canik Mete MC9. That one does have that 3.18-inch barrel. We'll be going through our gel. Those are 10% calibrated blocks. Do have our catch block behind that. So total 22 inches of gel, 4 layers of cotton tissue on the front. And like always, we'll set up our chronograph so you can hopefully pick up those impact velocities. So let's set up and see how these rounds do head to head. First one up will be that factory gold dot. All right, we're setting back to 15 feet. All right, let's see what we did on that one. All right, so it looks like our impact velocity on that one was 1128. So it's actually not too bad. Rated was 1210. I'm usually getting that right at that 4-inch barrel. So definitely good to see out of that shorter barrel. All right, and there's that hit. Looks like I got a pretty good shot on that block. You can see right down in there and a pretty nice star pattern so far. You can really see those perfect spiral cuts going on. So let's check it out from the top. Oh yeah, definitely some good looking stuff. So you can actually see right where it started to open up, and then you can see those really nice distinct spiral cuts. Every time we test the gold dot, they always leave those in that gel. And then it does look like it did start to taper off a little bit towards the end, and we did actually make it into the second block. So that's always good to see. So see what kind of measurement we have here from the top. So like always, we'll cut these open later to get a little bit more accurate cross-section measurement. But while we're out here, we're right at 1.5 inches. So definitely not too bad. That was a little bit lighter for I guess not light for caliber, but your standard 115 grain 9mm. So nothing too crazy, and that wasn't a plus P, but pretty good to see. So you can see as soon as that thing came in, started to get some immediate expansion, and man, check those spiral cuts out. Absolutely perfect, very uniform. And then you can see that last inch or so, it did start to settle down, and there it is in that second block. So let's see what kind of measurement we have here from the side. And it looks like we might have a little bit more from the side. Looks like we are just about 1.75 inches, so about 1/4 inch more from the side than the top. So that's always good to see. And then hopefully you guys are able to see that it is actually facing upward. And at our leading edge, we are right at 2 3/4 inches. Actually, let's do that one more time. Sorry, about 2.5 inches. So that made it 13.5 inches of total penetration. So that's actually pretty good. So we're going to set it for that hand load and see how that one does. All right, we're setting back to 15 feet. All right, let's see what we did on that one. All right, so it looks like our impact velocity on that one was 1318. So that's awesome to see. That is out of a short barrel. I did load that one a little bit spicy, like I said, with a 6.5 grains of CFE pistol. And normally, if you can find it, it's pretty hard to find. The Plus P Plus Gold Dot 115 grains rated right at 13. So, you know, like I said, that's awesome to see out of this super short carry barrel. So I'm definitely happy with that. We're not getting any pressure signs, so it looks like everything's working great. Everything can take it. But anyway, so there is that hit on that block. Looks like we got a perfect shot. You can see right down in there and a huge star pattern so far. So let's check it out from the top. Oh yeah, check that out. You could definitely see a difference. And once again, you can see right where we're starting to get that expansion. But man, check that out. Huge star pattern going on. Dumping a ton of energy, those perfect cuts. You can see it did taper pretty quick, and then of course it did not make it out of that first block. I didn't really expect it to because you know, it is moving quite a bit faster, so it dumped its energy a lot quicker. So you know, I know a lot of people don't really care for that. They want that extra penetration, but for the amount of damage, it's definitely pretty impressive. So let's check our measurement here from the top. And at our widest spot, we are just about, actually just over 2¼ inches. So that's actually quite a bit more than this last one. You can actually see just the differences. But yeah, that one definitely dumped quite a bit of energy, and glad we're actually able to catch that one. But hopefully you guys can see this, but here it is from the side. You can see right where it started to open up and start to dump quite a bit of energy. Really nice distinct spiral cuts. Like I said, man, those gold dots are very clean in this gel, and then you can see it is facing upward right there in that gel. Looks like it just about tried to come out. It looks like we're right at the very end of that block, but pretty impressive stuff. So let's see what kind of measurement we have here from the side. Looks like we are actually a little bit less, and we are just, sorry guys, just about 1¾ inches, so a little bit less from the side than the top, but still, man, very impressive. And like I said, it is facing upward. Right at our leading edge, we're literally about 1/8 of an inch before it's about to come out, so that made it 10. Let's see, maybe, hold on, let me actually move this. So yeah, it did not come out. It looks like, of course, it definitely wanted to try. But so we're about 1/4 inch shy from the end, so it made it 10¾ inches of total penetration. So that's actually very good. You know, especially for the velocity. Like I said, that thing was moving out pretty darn good. So let's check these tracks out one more time from the top. So the one on the right was that factory load, and the one on the left was that hand load. So here is that factory load. You can see as soon as that thing came in, it started to open up really nicely. You can see those really nice distinct spiral cuts going through. Did taper off a little bit towards the end and settle down, and we actually did make it into that second block. And for a hand load, a little bit different story. You can see it came in dumping a ton of energy, huge spiral cuts going through, and this one carried its energy a pretty good ways too. And then you can see where it did settle down, and this one did not make it out of that first block. So definitely pretty impressive stuff. So let's pull these rounds and see what they look like. All right, check these things out. They both got some awesome expansion. I'm sure you can tell which one was which. So the one on the right was that factory, and the one on the left was that hand load that I loaded up. So here's that factory gold dot. Thing did absolutely perfect. Picture perfect expansion. You can see that little signature gold dot down in there. But man, those are always some good looking rounds when they do what they're supposed to. This thing does have a ton of gel left in it, but it actually peeled it back pretty darn far. But yeah, I was actually pretty surprised on the velocity that we got out of that shorter barrel. I have tested this out of just a straight 3-inch barrel, and we're usually getting under 1,100 feet per second. So to get, you know, 1128-ish was great to see out of that 3.1 inch. But man, that's one wicked round for sure. And here is the one that I loaded up. Could definitely tell, if I can get a hold of it, the difference on that, man. That thing opened up huge. Once again, you can see that gold dot, but that thing opened up very big. Definitely surprised, pretty excited. So it looks like I'll be loading up a little bit more of these at this velocity. Out of a little bit longer barrel, of course, these things are trucking, you know, these things are really moving, but out of that 3.1 inch, it's great. It's like perfect for me, so pretty excited about that. But check that thing out, man. Thing opened up absolutely huge. Perfect flower. Very excited for that. So let's check these out one more time from the bottom. So the one on the right is that factory, one on the left is that one that I loaded up. And last time from the top. So like I always do, guys, we'll rinse these out, get a still shot, slow-mo, everything else here at the end. Once again, that one was 115 grain head-to-head, factory loaded versus hand loaded. Thanks for watching, guys. All right, there's that cross section for that first shot. This one was that factory loaded gold dot. You can see it did absolutely perfectly. Got some nice splits. You can really see those spiral cuts going down in there. Same on this side. Looking really good. So I did remeasure these. They are peaking and averaging right at the same, right at that 2-inch mark. So I believe that's a little bit more than we're getting out in the field. So that's always good to see, but definitely very impressive on how well it did. So let's cut it open. All right, and here's after being cut. So this bottom is the right side and this top is the left. So you can see pretty much as soon as that thing came in, right at that 1/4 inch mark, started to open up. You can see that nice wide path going all the way through, those perfect spiral cuts, like I keep saying. Those gold dots are usually very uniform here in the gel. Can't see it did drag in a little bit of that cotton t-shirt, with some really, really nice splits going all the way down. Like I said, that thing was moving out pretty darn good, especially for that shorter barrel. I'm actually very impressed. I have tested it before in a just a 3-inch barrel, and you know, it did good, but you know, not the best. So to see, you know, that 0.2-inch barrel, you know, almost 1/4 inch longer barrel actually did quite a bit better. I believe it was 1128 feet per second, so that's really good to see. And same thing on the top. You can see where it came in, started to open up. Once again, that nice wide path. And this one drug in a bunch of that cotton t-shirt, and same thing, really, really big splits. Really deep cuts all the way down in there. So let's check out one more quick angle so you can see what's really going on and see how deep those cuts are. But yeah, now you can really see how nasty that path is and all the crap that it drug in. And same on this side. So really good stuff. So that one was that 115 grain factory loaded spear gold dot. All right, and here's that cross section for that gold dot that I hand loaded. You could definitely tell there's a little bit more damage going on. You can see some really nice splits. Once again, though, you can see those perfect spiral cuts going all the way down in there. Very uniform stuff. Same on this side, really nice big splits going all the way down. So I did remeasure these. They are peaking and averaging right at the same at 2.5 inches. So we got 1/2 inch more damage going on. And of course, you know, it is expected. That thing was moving quite a bit faster than that factory stuff. So really good to see there. So let's cut it open. All right, and here's after being cut. So looks like pretty much same as that last one. As soon as it came in, right around that 1/4 inch mark where it started to open up. This one does have a little bit wider, you know, more distinct path going through. You can see those really nice cuts. Look how clean those cuts are down in there. Really, really wide splits going all the way down. There are some very, very small specks of lead. You know, of course, it is a bonded bullet. It usually doesn't come apart, but right at the mouth of those gold dots usually have a little bit of loose lead that, you know, normally comes off. Can see it did drag in a little bit of that cotton t-shirt. And same on this side, came in, opened up. You can see that nice path once again going all the way through. And same thing, man, really, really big splits and cuts all through this gel. You know, this one was moving a little bit, I'd probably say too fast. It did peel that gold dot back pretty far, and it opened up very wide, which kind of restricted it from, you know, penetrating as far as it probably should have. We only got that 11-inch mark, or 10 3/4, I believe it was. I'd say if I kind of backed it down a little bit, it would probably be perfect. But you know, I'm a 357 SIG fan, so I like that speed. Even, you know, with these bullets, it was very impressive. I'm super excited on how well it actually did. Just getting into reloading and you know, trying to do the best I can. So really good, and excited to see that my loading job actually worked, and you know, it actually performed pretty decent. So let's cut it open one more time, or not cut it open, we get one more quick angle. But you can see there how big those splits are going all the way down. And same on this side, you can really see how much damage is going on in there. But once again, that one was that 115 grain spear gold dot. That is the one I loaded over 1,300 feet per second out of that short barrel Canik Mete MC9. Thanks again for watching, guys.